with nature. That's high. First, everybody stand and strike. Your turn. Torn to oblivion.
Hey guys, it's me EOD Gamer here, and today we're going to be talking about whether Raiden's Constellations are worth it. Before we jump in, a question that I'm getting a lot is C1 better or Engulfing Lightning? The quick answer is that Engulfing provides more overall utility for your team because it can be used by more than one character, whereas C1 should be obtained with the objective of eventually going to C2 because that is when Raiden Shogun gets a significant power spike and changes the way that she is played. One of the common misconceptions that most people have is that Raiden feels very weak at C0, and I want to point out why this is incorrect. It's because in order to build Raiden correctly, you need to build into 4 different substats, energy recharge significantly more than other characters, while also having good attack percentage as well as crit rate and crit damage. This just makes Raiden Shogun a much more difficult character to build mathematically compared to other characters who doesn't require that 200 to 300% ER. In my opinion, at C0, Raiden Shogun is best played as a burst support, as many other content creators have rightly pointed out. However, this changes with Constellations, and if we look at the distribution, C1 to C3 is mainly focused on her gaining damage and improving her DPS capabilities, whereas the contrast comes at C4 to C6, where it starts to again go back full circle and focus on support capabilities. Now let's go constellation by constellation and see how gradually Raiden Shogun changes with the constellations. Although C2 is getting a lot of the media hype, C1 is actually a very significant constellation for Raiden Shogun. This is because it allows her to be used in almost any single team comp that revolves around using their elemental bursts and having very good uptime with very good resolve stacks on Bao's Q. Basically, C1 Raiden Shogun allows her to do damage more reliably because of reaching her max stacks much more consistently. But the irony behind this is that most people at C1 will feel lost whether to play Raiden Shogun as a burst support or on-field main DPS type of role, and this is where C2 makes the biggest difference, and I think it's miHoYo's most brilliant marketing strategy of all. In my previous video comparing C0 and C2 Raiden, I'll link it up in the top right hand corner above in this video. We can see that the damage output of Raiden Shogun has increased by 40% just by applying the C2 buff. And this is also future-proof because it lowers the enemy's defense rather than raising Raiden Shogun's attack on its own. It is with C2 that I think that Raiden Shogun can much more comfortably transition into a main DPS style of role, but not exactly the traditional main DPS that we are thinking about. I'd like to introduce a concept of what I call a pivot DPS. At its core, the pivot DPS role is to fill in the screen time in between the quick swap cooldowns and also dealing damage using auto attacks, which Raiden does perfectly well. For instance, if you are using a Bennett and Kazuha EQ combo each, you will have some downtime before both of their cooldowns refresh. This screen time is filled by a DPS such as Raiden Shogun. Now moving on to her C3. Her C3 increases her damage in her Q time by approximately 20%, which is 3 levels of her Q. At C4, Raiden Shogun's constellations start to contribute more towards her supportive capabilities once again. This 30% attack buff is exactly equal to Raiden Shogun's downtime, unless of course you burst and you don't complete her entire 7 seconds Q uptime. In all honesty, I think this about 300 to 400 damage increase on your traditional main DPS isn't really significant of a constellation, but C4 is essential to get you to the ultimate goal of C6, which is what miHoYo is obviously trying to push people for. C5 increases the E skill by 3 levels, improving the damage output by approximately 20% as well. And finally, we have C6. In essence, C6 is a game changer for most quick swap team comps. Now let me explain why. 100% uptime on Cell's ultimate, 100% uptime on Xingqiu's Q, and almost 100% uptime on a C4 Xiangling's Pyronado. Not to mention, if you are one of those lucky few who has C4 Zhongli, you can have a near 100% uptime with Chongyun plus Zhongli's Petrify and Bao. Kazuha as well as Jin, and Venti all have also almost 100% uptime on their Q. Basically, Raiden C6 future-proofs the character for the remainder of the game, because every character that is released into the game, Raiden Shogun's C6 gets stronger and stronger, as the game has to be balanced around free-to-play players and cooldowns cannot feel exceptionally long, such that free-to-play players find it a chore to be waiting for the cooldown. As such, C6 Bao unlocks new character combinations and team comps that previously wasn't possible because of cooldown limitations. This makes C6 Raiden Shogun one of the most unique constellations ever in Genshin Impact. Unfortunately, but not surprisingly, this is gated behind a very huge paywall. Well, that's it from me for this video. If you found the video helpful, I really do appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe. Or perhaps in the comment section also tell me what you thought about my thoughts. Do you disagree or do you agree? Otherwise, take care and see you next time.